Woo! Good old H2O. Cool, clean water. You ever think about water? You know what I mean? Like how wonderful it is? How there's nothing better than a cool glass of water when you're thirsty. There's nothing more fun than jumping into a great big pool of water on a hot summer day. You know, we really depend on water every day. We need it to keep us clean, to grow our plants, even to keep us alive. I guess it's no surprise then how in the Bible God uses water to teach us about life. He uses it as a symbol to help us understand spiritual truths that we need to know. We could talk about water around a kitchen sink, but I thought it'd be more fun to explore Cloudland Canyon for water symbols. Come on! We're diving deeper into the book of Zechariah. I'm Joel Everest, and this is Explore the Bible on location. And here we go, looking for water. Okay, now here, look at this. I see evidence here that there's water around here somewhere. Take a look at these canyon walls. It took a lot of moving water to carve a canyon this deep. Aha, that's the water that did it. That's called Sitting Gulch Creek. You see, most of these rock formations in this canyon are made of sandstone. And water can cut through sandstone relatively fast because sandstone's pretty soft. The sandstone layers tend to break off into these huge boulders and these really cool formations. Come on, let's keep going. Wow, take a look at that. That is a beautiful sight. That's a lot more fun than staring at a kitchen sink, am I right? Of course, the water flow gets bigger or smaller depending on recent rains. I mean, that's gotta be gallons and gallons of water. It's like a God-made fountain. Today, we are learning more about the book of Zechariah. God used the symbol of a fountain to give his people a message. In Zechariah 13, the prophet Zechariah said that one day a fountain would open and cleanse away false idol worship and false prophecy from his people. God used Zechariah to give a really important message to his people. You see, God's people had been away from Jerusalem for a long time. And Zechariah wrote to encourage the people who returned to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. Zechariah and the prophet Haggai wanted them to continue rebuilding their temple and worship the one true God. Zechariah was telling the people that they needed to be purified or cleansed from anything that was unholy, like the worship of false idols. In those days, water was one thing that people used to purify or clean things. And so Zechariah said that God would open up a fountain to wash away the sins of his people so they could return to him. Hey, come to think of it, God has done some pretty powerful things with water. During the reign of King Ahab, God answered the prayer of the prophet Elijah and burned up water. That's right, burned up water. You see, the people in the Promised Land had a terrible famine threaten the land. King Ahab worshiped false gods like the god Baal, and he was hurting God's prophets. The prophet Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal to get their quote-unquote God to send fire to the earth, but no matter what the false prophets did, nothing happened. Elijah built an altar, surrounded it with a trench, covered the altar, and filled the trench with water. He prayed to God to send fire to the altar, and God answered. God sent fire down on that altar and burned up everything, even the water in the trench. He showed his power, proving that Baal was a false and worthless god. Elijah then prayed for rain, and God sent a great rain to a very dry land. Now, this waterfall never really dries up. It's fed by the rains and the natural springs, and eventually the waters flow into a big major river. Come to think of it, that's kind of like God's work in us. He doesn't just start a work in us and then leave us alone. And that is what Zechariah was saying when he said that God would wash away the people's sin from the land. God sent Jesus to us, and his power and love is like a never-ending fountain. He is constantly working in our lives to wash away anything that keeps us from him. Because of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, if we confess our sins and trust Jesus, we can have all our sins washed away, past, present, and future, forever. That is super amazing truth. I hope you get to come and explore a place like this one day and see flowing fountains and running streams and beautiful waterfalls, and think about the lessons that God is teaching us. We'll see you next time. I'm Joel Everest, and this is Explore the Bible on Location.